Hi there, I'm Blackbright, broadcasting out of the east of England. Welcome to my channel. If it's the first time you're passing by, then welcome. And if you've been here before and you're a subscriber, then thank you for sticking with me. I wanted to talk about my experience this morning in getting petrol. So, first thing that happened, I woke up at 5 o'clock. You know how the body functions. So I woke up at 5 o'clock and I thought to myself, every day this week, I've noticed there's been a backlog of traffic queuing up for petrol at the Esso garage just before the M1. Um, yeah, just before the M1, really, really long. And every day I've been thinking to myself, you know what? I should have really gone and queued up for petrol, but I didn't. So this morning I said, you know what, let me just go and see. I said, I don't want to say no, my luck, because that's negative. But I thought, I hope I haven't left it too late. And that seeing that petrol in the morning, long queues, in the evening, long queues, am I still going to get petrol? So I was kind of battling with whether or not I should listen to my instinct, or was it my instinct, or was it fear? Was it fear of not a fear of loss, but fear of lack, because we've been told that there's going to be petrol delivered over the weekend. But then you hear people saying, oh, is it a ploy to stop people from panic buying? So you've still got people doubting what the government is saying, that the petrol's going to be back to normal. And so really, I had a quarter of a tank in my car, but I still felt uncomfortable because I normally have a full tank. So this was about my peace of mind. So I thought to myself, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. If I go down to the petrol station and there's no petrol, okay, I'll just wait until I hear that petrol is available. So it was like maybe about a 10-minute drive towards the M1. You have to go down and then go round and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I got there at 5:45. Got there at 5:45 and I noticed there was about 3 cars lined up. There were minicab drivers and I wasn't sure whether they were waiting for a call or whether they were waiting for petrol. Anyway, I got out the car after a few minutes of seeing no movement. And I said, you know, is there petrol? And he said something like not open or something. I didn't really understand what he said. I got in my car and after about 5 minutes, I'm like, nah, this ain't right. You know, when the blind follows the blind and you're not taking responsibility for your own destiny. So I decided what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and have a look to see if there's any petrol. When I walked to the garage, there's a big bar across it, you know, a barrier. So I'm like, I can't be asked. So I came out of the queue. There was about 3 or 4 people ahead of me. I came out of the queue and I was going to drive and leave it. But something said as I drove out, why don't you check and ask when they're going to get petrol in? So I went over to the glass and I said, when are you going to get petrol? When are you open? And he put 6 fingers up and I'm like, what the hell does that mean? 6 hours? I don't know. Anyway, I decided to go into the shop to clarify. And he said it's open at 6 o'clock. So I looked at my watch. Well, I only had 5 minutes left, but I'd lost my space, hadn't I? So I had to drive all the way around. And when I got there, it wasn't too bad. I was about 8th in line. So that wasn't bad. So anyway, 6 o'clock, the cars start moving. And I noticed a couple of cars, you know, when they try to butt in and they were zooming down the side, but they couldn't get in because there was this big barrier that stopped them. So I thought, serve you right, you're going to have to go all the way around and lose your place in the queue just because you're trying to be greedy. Anyway, finally got to the front of the garage and there was a pump on the right and these cars were all behind the pump on the left, about 5 cars behind the pump on the left, none on the pump on the right. But I noticed a woman was there, so I went over to her and I said, "Is there petrol here?" And she said, "Yes." So I went to the guy in front of me and I said, "You know, there is petrol over there." He said, "Oh, but it's on the wrong side of my car." So I said to him, "But the lead goes over." He said, "I can't be bothered." So he said, "You can go, you can go." So I went in and I was, bypassed the 4 cars that were in front of me and I used the pump, even though my petrol gauge is my petrol cap is on the right hand side. I just thought to myself, I'm just going to use the hose over the car and fill my tank. So I filled my tank and I felt such a sense of relief. I thought, I don't even care if I drive my car. It's just the security of knowing that there's petrol in it, just in case. So I went in, paid for it, and as I was coming out, I looked up and I noticed, because I thought, oh, I wonder how much it is here for petrol. There was no prices at all. It was totally taken down. I thought to myself, bloody hell, just paid £30. I normally pay £35 to fill the tank, but I paid £30 just for 3/4 of a tank. So I don't know how much they were charging. Anyway, as I'm driving down, I misjudged the end of the road where you turn to go back onto the main Dunstable Road. And because it was so dark and wet, and I heard, oh my God, what have I done? I'd only mounted this high curb. Looked like the wheel was stuck halfway. Thank God, a couple of Asian guys came out of their cars and guided me back. People are nice, They guided me back and told me to straighten up the wheel. And anyway, I got out. I don't know if there's any damage to the car, but it didn't appear that way. It didn't feel funny when I was driving it. So hopefully it sounded worse than what actually happened. So I ended up driving back home in the rain and the wet. My thing with that experience is that, there's a process going on, isn't there? Because you can either ask questions, you can follow your instinct, you can make assumptions. All of those things go into play when just a simple exercise, going for petrol. There's just so many things that can happen, so many dynamics that are happening while you're going to get that petrol. Or what was going on in my mind as I was getting that petrol. I was just saying, please God, just let me get petrol just so I've got it in the car. I'll still take the bus. But if there was a situation where I needed to drive, I just needed to know that I had petrol. For some reason, I felt really, really nervous because I had 1/4 of a tank and I wasn't sure how that was going to last. And it just seemed that the petrol gauge was going, the petrol amount was just going lower and lower every time I drove it. But it's probably my imagination. So, what else? Yeah, I don't know if it's illegal to not to put a price up for petrol. I mean, when you think about it, it's a bit of a con, because people who are parking are not going to come out because they know that place sells petrol. So they can charge an arm and a leg. They've actually held you hostage. And once you've poured the petrol in, that's all you want to do. So you're not even going to question how much it is. But I was just wondering whether or not that's illegal. Could someone tell me if it is? Or whether they are supposed to advertise the price of their petrol. Going towards up towards Dunstable, the Tesco, there was a long queue. I mean, I know they definitely won't be ripping off people, but the queue was so long going around the roundabout. So I'm glad I didn't go there, because literally, yes, I paid a little extra, but it was worth it. Literally, just 8 cars wait. And then because 4 let me go, I don't even think I was out for more than 20 minutes. So yes, it was an experience, and yeah, it taught me to ask questions, not to take things for granted. And yeah, I've got a full tank of petrol and some peace of mind. And that's all for now. Bye bye.